Senator Dan Coats on the Senate Intelligence Committee with me now. And Senator, good morning to you, and thank you for your time. We've got a lot to go through. First off, your reaction to what Ash Carter just said will happen.
Well, it's clear that the administration is acknowledging now that we have to do more than what the president's strategy called for. I know the president doesn't want to say that he's changing his strategy, but this is a clear indication that that is the case. All of us have been saying, most of us have been saying for months and months that the current strategy is not working. I think this is an acknowledgement of that.
Okay, now there also is the word from Ash Carter that Turkey has to strengthen its border. And the president mentioned this in Paris 2 hours ago, saying a 60-mile stretch is still unguarded. What happens there, Senator?
Well, I think that we absolutely have to do that. Europe has been calling for that. The EU has made a very generous offer to Turkey, and in terms of their participation in future EU as a member, plus a lot of money that they're going to send to do just that. But that deals with the migration issue and the refugee issue also, but also the flow of foreign fighters into Syria. So it's a two-way situation, I think, that needs to be addressed.
Also, the White House is hitting Congress on a number of fronts. You are making an effort to tighten the visa rules for coming into the United States. And apparently the administration is doing the same thing. Is this something that you approve of, and perhaps this offensive move will help in terms of security?
Well, we need help. More than almost a year ago, I said that we have to address this visa waiver issue because it can be a pathway for terrorists to come to the United States easily once they're citizens of a country in Europe. And we know now that there are many terrorists there that are citizens that could use the visa waiver system to come to the United States without being checked. So I called for a full review of this, for dropping nations that weren't up to information sharing with us and didn't have all the criteria in place that we need to do. So once again, a step forward, recognizing, I think, the seriousness of this issue of ISIL and its expanding territory and numbers of people that want to do harm to Americans, to Europeans, and others.
Josh Earnest just yesterday was saying that Congress must authorize military force, something that has not moved in some time. Is Congress dragging its feet on this issue?
Administration's been telling us they don't need the authority for months, if not years. All of a sudden, it looks like they want to deflect it to Congress, basically. Blame Congress for the failures that we've had. You know, we're in the football season here. It's like the quarterback with 3 turnovers, basically saying, you know, it's the team's fault. They're not giving me the right protection. We've been ready to do this, willing to do this. The administration keeps saying it hasn't been needed it. Now they're deflecting it, I think, because the president doesn't want to stand up, take responsibility to say, my strategy hasn't worked, so let's blame it on Congress.
Do you think it's truly a deflection, or do you think the administration is changing its strategy?
Well, I think maybe changing, and I think that's a hopeful sign because ISIL is simply a cancer that continues to spread, and our current strategy is not working. They just don't want to admit that that is a change of strategy, but given what Ash Carter just said, and given what they proposed on the AUMF as well as the visa waiver, I think it's a clear indication that they recognize now that their strategy has failed.
There's a new senior advisor. Help the administration on the Iran nuclear deal will now be elevated to advise the president on ISIS. What do you make of that move?
There's been a lot of criticism of the president's security team, whether the president just simply doesn't listen to them or whether they're not giving him the right kind of information. I think this is a recognition that they need to beef up that team. There's been a real lack of, I think, serious input to the president, either that or he has just dismissed it. This, again, is a recognition that there needs to be a change of status.
You know, Senator, from afar, it appears over the past 2 weeks, when the administration took so many hits for its reaction to what happened in Paris, that it is changing. And perhaps it may not be as far as folks like you want them to go, but there seems to be a shift. Do you see that? Do you agree with that?
Well, I hope it's a shift because obviously the current strategy and some of the denial that's come out of the White House about the JV team, I mean, these guys are the New England Patriots. And we've been the JV team, so we need a shift. So however it comes, I think it's in the best interest and security interest of the United States to take additional steps, and maybe the White House is trying to acknowledge this without having the president stepping forward and say, I goofed.
Senator, thank you for your time. Dan Coates,
Sure.
a
Nice
Republican
talking to
from
you.
Indiana. Thank you.